Hi, my name is Elena. Welcome back to the Evolve podcast. Today we are joined with Sara Ann.
Hi.
Hi. So before we kind of get into a discussion about you and music, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and kind of where you're at in life right now.
Well, I'm in Vermont, which is really unexpected.
Yes.
My name is Sara Ann. I'm 23 years old. I am from Boca Raton, South Florida. For people that don't know, it's a little bit north of Miami. Florida girl, born and raised, but I've been really enjoying experiencing the seasons.
And the foliage.
I've never seen fall, so I'm super excited.
Oh my gosh, I could not imagine.
I'm very excited.
It's a rainbow. It's everywhere. It's beautiful. So how did music and songwriting really come into your life? I know a lot of young people who really love music and love songwriting have a vision from a young age. So what took you really from that vision that you had when you were younger to now?
So music has been in my life, honestly, since the beginning. When I was about 4, my mom had a 2-step step stool, and I used to bring it into the living room and stand on the top step with a pen, and I would sing Disney movies on repeat.
Oh my gosh, that's
day.
precious.
So I loved to perform, and then when I was about 6, if we would be out at a restaurant, I would go up to tables and sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Oh my gosh.
And so my mom started to realize I really liked singing, and I liked singing for people from a very young age. So she put me into musical theater, and that kind of fed more of just my music life. And I actually wasn't allowed to listen to anything except Christian music until I was about 12. So I didn't know that there were other genres and stuff out there. It was very sheltered.
I was similar too, yeah. I was like, wow, there's more options than Caleb.
I remember I met this, Caleb and Casting Crowns.
Yeah.
I met this girl when I was 12, and she was like, "You look like Taylor Swift." And I was like, "Who's that?" And
oh
she
my
was
gosh.
And she got her laptop out that I was not allowed to have without a parent around. And so she showed me Taylor Swift and Katy Perry and all these people. And
you're like, I'm in love.
My mom was like, you can never hang out with this girl again. But she's still my best friend to this day. But it's been in my life from the beginning. And songwriting, I've always been a pretty good writer. In school, I loved storytelling, and I loved English class, and I loved music, and I loved making people feel things, which was what books do and songs do.
Yeah.
So when I was I think I was 11, when I wrote my first song about a boy I had a crush on.
Aw, don't we all know?
Of course, the cliche.
Yeah.
But then from there, I just started writing more and more, and that's kind of how it came about. And so it was just something that was a part of my life from a young age, but as I got older, I started taking it more seriously, and that's why I'm here now.
Did you find that you enjoyed English just for the writing and for the chance to experiment and be creative in a school setting? So.
I think so. I was also really obsessed with being a straight A student. So
yeah, that I feel that 100%.
It was kind of toxic.
Perfectionism, toxic perfectionism.
Exactly. Yes, it looked great on paper, but all of the tears and it was just your grades don't define you.
Yeah.
But I think that was part of it. Math had all these formulas, and there was always a right way to get to the right answer. But with English, it was more about the art. It was more about what you felt and your perspective and your story and the emotion you wanted to invoke. And there was a lot more freedom. And I think it just created a way for me to start connecting with people. Mm-hmm. And then since I was already so into music, it kind of just blend into one.
Yeah, absolutely. That totally makes sense. I was that way in high school too, the art classes and all those things that really gave me an opportunity to do my own spin on it. I was of course, because we're both very perfectionistic in our nature. But yeah, if it was a math class or something else, I'm okay, I'll put 110% of my effort and still do well. But those classes that really let me kind of put my own voice into things, I was yes, I love this. That's where most of my time went, for sure.
Yeah.
So how has your music and your perspective of, loving something that is creative, that you can have your own style on it, how has that perspective changed as you have grown through college experience, different dating experiences or different relational experiences in life?
I think the one thing that's really cool about it is music has always been a constant. It's always been something that is mine. And at the end of the day, people come and go, but my music is always here, and no one can take that away from me. But with songwriting, it has changed somewhat in the fact that every relational experience, it gives me something to write about.
Songwriting will, reflects those experiences that you have, and I'm sure the emotions and, feelings that you have in the moment, whether that's in a relationship or an experience that you have in life. So, I mean, I'm sure like any artist, like their content, their songwriting is going to change as they mature and experience different things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who I still like writing. I know I'm not as involved like in music, but for me, like my writing, you can see it change between, a couple years ago versus now. And so like that adaptation and that change, like I love seeing that in people too, and seeing people like learning different things, experiencing different things, and then seeing that evident in an artistic form is like, it's so cool. So what would you consider your main source of inspiration? I know we talked about like, your first like song that you wrote was like about a boy, but like what would you say now is that main source of inspiration?
Honestly, just real life experiences. There is nothing more inspiring than getting out there and experiencing things for yourself. Because when I was younger, like I said, I started writing songs at like 11. I'd never fallen in love. I had never kissed anybody. I'd never had a heartbreak. Like I didn't know what it was like to connect to someone like that, and that, and be hurt and be shattered. And so I used to write about my cousins' breakups and my friends' breakups. Like I had older cousins that would like, I'd be sitting there and they'd be talking about the boy that they were supposed to go out with, and he never called. And so I have like probably 10 songs that are about my cousin's relationship.
That's great.
But you would never know, because that's the incredible thing about artists is they can take someone else's story and write about it and create an emotion out of it. And I think that's what I love the most. Is it is a lot of fun to write about other people, but as I got older and I started to experience my own life experiences, and I was going on first dates and I was getting hurt by friends, or I got bullied in high school. I mean, my songs got really sad for a while, but there's nothing like more important than getting out there and experiencing life for yourself, because you just can't write about other people's stories all the time.
If you haven't lived through that experience, it is so much harder for you to get a full grasp on the emotions and on the feelings and on what you've experienced. I've done like all the time. I'm journaling and reflecting. Did it kind of started journaling as a way to kind of get my mental health in a better place, but then as I started doing it for so many weeks, I was like, oh, like I can't go to bed at night now without like journaling and reflecting on like my emotions. Of course, as I got in a better mental state, like the 2 pages became maybe like a 1 page or half a page a day. But still, like even now, like to this day, like I think it's almost been actually exactly a year since I started daily journaling.
That's awesome.
And it's been a great way for me to like look back and keep track, not look back to like the bad times, because I don't necessarily want to like go relive the emotions that I wrote, but still like having that way to keep track and really reflect, I think is like so healthy. And even now, like I've recommended like so many people like journal, like even if you can't do it daily, just like if you have something on your mind, just start writing it down. And just that like release of maybe not even like songwriting, but just release of getting your thoughts down like on paper, I find is just like a way for me to like check off that box and like throw it down somewhere else, versus like, throwing it up here and keeping it on the back burner to simmer is just like, it's so much better. And I think healthier. Obviously like it's hard, but I think like it's better.
It's important, and it helps to get it out. I have noticed that like anytime I feel really stuck and like I have nothing to write about, it's because like I don't have any type of inspiration. So I need to go out, I need to do something, I need to experience things. And every time I've had writer's block, I just give myself a little time off, and then you end up having all these things hit you. It's really cool. Songwriting is a hard thing to navigate, but I think the best part about it is a lot like an English class. There's no right or wrong. It's just what you feel. So.
Yeah, for sure. So how has your music really reflected your current place in life now? I know you said you're from Boca Raton, and you came up here in March, right? April, yeah, and kind of haven't gone back. So tell me about like, you know, that experience, that thought process, and has it changed kind of what you're doing now for music?
It hasn't really changed. That's the nice thing about music is I want to eventually tour. So like being somewhere different all the time is part of the job.
Yeah, that's true.
And
being flexible with that too.
Yeah, and just I have my guitar. The only thing I didn't bring was my piano. So that's
that might be hard to get through the airport.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I have my guitar and I can basically do music from anywhere. The great thing about being up here is that I met an incredible engineer, actually, through your dad.
Yep.
And we've been working on my music, and I think it is the first time I have found somebody in the engineer world, in the production world, that gets me and gets what I'm going for.
Yeah.
And at first, when we came here and we ended up staying longer than intended, I was kind of confused. And you know, it was like this, my family's in Florida, but the coronavirus is so bad. If I went back, I can't play gigs because it's not safe. But here, it's a lot more controlled, like people are wearing masks. And so when we decided to stay, part of me was like, ugh, but like, why am I in Vermont? Like out of all places. And then when I met Andre, the engineer I'm working with, I have like this saying that everything happens for a reason, even if you don't see the reason until much later.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason I ended up in Vermont a lot longer than I planned on it. It was to meet Andre and finally be like, wow, I can finish these songs and feel good about them. So I'm really excited.
Yeah. And I think like, you know, like meeting you and stuff, like I've known Brady for so long and known like people around you, but I think like having that opportunity now, and here, like now you've established this as like a network too for the future. And obviously like Florida and Vermont are totally different too. So now you have two different places where you can really like have that opportunity, and you've seen like a different lifestyle. And like you mentioned, like going on tour and really traveling and having that flexibility, which I struggle with, hence why I'm still here after how many years. But like having that experience, I think is really important.
Yeah, I think it has changed a lot. I've never lived anywhere besides Florida. So literally I went across the whole country.
Yeah.
And so I've been loving it here. It's just a totally different atmosphere. And I think quarantine in general has given artists a lot of time to just focus on their writing and their music, because they're not touring, they can't do meet and greets, they can't do all this stuff. So we've just really been all grinding in the studio.
What else is there to do besides like hunker down in an office space or like your house and just like grind?
Exactly.
I feel that too. Yeah, 100%. I know. I've almost like, and I was talking to actually my mom about this, and I was like, you know, I feel like there's either like there's a total like night and day side of quarantine, people who are like, you know, struggling with lack of purpose from work and lack of motivation because like the total schedule changed, the total lack of routine is now really changing things up. And then there's people who are like, no, I'm actually like doing well. Like I'm got this opportunity now to focus on totally different things. Whether that's more like just self-care or like changing the routine that needed to happen anyway. Like I'm finding still that because there's these restrictions on other things now, I'm like, oh, like I actually have so much purpose and passion now for like sitting at my laptop and doing work that I want to do. And that's not seen as weird because we're all just sitting and working all day anyway, not talking to people. So yeah, it's just interesting that like when we've been in kind of this COVID lifestyle now for like more than 6 months, really the new routines and the new lifestyles that are coming out of that. I think just like talking with people about that is really fascinating since, you know, we're going to be here for a while, I think. So yeah, it's really interesting. What are your future goals? Where do you want to be? I know you've kind of mentioned a little bit that we've been talking, but the typical question of where do you see yourself in like 5 years? But what's your dream place to be at?
With music, I think my biggest dream, like my mission statement in a sense, is I never want to be, it's not about how good I can be at what I do, it's about how much good I can do with what I do. And that's something I really always remind myself and always want to keep like as the forefront of my career, because people can get really lost in the music world when people really start praising you and idolizing you. You know, it's hard not to let it get to your head. My goal is just, I want people to love my music and to feel something from my music. It's not even really about me. Like, if they like me, that's cool. But I want people, when they're sad, to have a song of mine that they can go to and not feel alone when they listen to it. And they can put their headphones on and feel like, okay, somebody out there gets it. And or if they're happy, like, I would love my song to be like the soundtrack of someone's summer. Like, you know, like one of my songs come on, they're like, remember that day we were driving in the car down by the beach and we were screaming to the song with the windows down? That would be so cool if somebody did that.
Like, and eliciting that feeling. Like, we all have those summer songs, especially if you look back at like early mid 2000s and you're like, oh my gosh, when that song came out, it was the song of the summer. And people know, and it like triggers that feeling.
Or, like, I would love for a couple to be like, I want this to be our first slow dance song. Like,
oh my gosh.
You know, I just want my songs to be a part of people's life and their memories and things that either make them feel like not alone or make them feel understood or happy. And so, I don't know. That's my future goal, is just to impact people.
Yeah.
And tour would be cool too. I'd love to go on tour. That's like, playing a stadium would be pretty freaking cool.
Oh, yeah. My anxiety, but bless.
No, I would probably be so anxious.
No, you would do great, I'm sure. So kind of lastly, what would you say to an aspiring young person who wants to go into this or follow this similar path? Or what advice, what techniques would you give them from you looking back? Like, what would you do differently?
Just do it. Don't listen to the voice in your head or other people telling you that it's not realistic. You need to have a backup plan. If you have a plan B, that is taking away from your plan A. I did go to school, but you don't have to go to school. If you're going to choose this path of art, you need to 100% commit yourself to it. You can't put yourself in 50% and expect results. It has to be a part of your every daily routine in your life. You have to be 100% committed. You have to be your biggest cheerleader. There are days when no one's going to tell you you're good. No one's going to comment on your videos. And I always say to myself, if I'm not a fan of myself, why would anybody else want to be?
Yeah.
So that's all I can say.
Self-confidence
is
too.
You have to be your biggest cheerleader, but it's so hard because I am my biggest critic. I am my worst critic.
Oh my gosh, we all are.
There's so many things that I don't do because I psych myself out and I second guess myself. And then when I finally do them, I'm like, why didn't I do this weeks ago? So that's my biggest advice, is build your confidence. Try. If you fail, try again. Failing doesn't mean you're not capable. Failing means you have to find another way to do it. And yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah. Yeah. And like adapting to that like growth mindset versus like, you know, a fixed mindset. And they talk about this in like academic world, you know, and in tutoring as well, like having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Growth mindset of looking like, you know, if I'm failing, like what can I learn from that? Like how am I getting better? What can I do to push myself forward versus like I'm stuck here in this, you know, like in this kind of vacuum that doesn't take in extra things from the outside world. So really just having that mindset of like, I'm here to grow, I'm here to learn. And again, like what you said, like if you're not 110% committed, like that plan B plan is only going to drag down that plan A plan. Yeah. So it's just, yeah, I totally agree with that mindset 100%.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that perfectionism, just go at it, commit.
Yeah, but don't beat yourself up because
grace. Extend grace is really important, especially right now.
Exactly. And that's the thing about art. Like it's never going to be perfect. And the music world is really moving into this whole like auto-tune perfectionism atmosphere. And that's why I like classic rock so much. Because I love all of like the natural inflections of the voice.
Yeah, makes it more real too.
Yeah, and that's what you want. That's why people used to listen to music. That's why music has been so big, one of the biggest things in the world, like since forever. So I think just one of the other things I would say is don't compare yourself. Because if you're trying to be like somebody else, there's already a Taylor Swift, there's already a Dua Lipa. Why would they hire somebody that's exactly like that? Why would they choose somebody like that? You want to bring to the table what nobody else has brought to the table. And you can, because you're unique. There's nobody like you.
Yeah.
So you just have to find what makes you unique and run with it as fast as you can.
So being in Vermont, you've had the opportunity to join the Evolve Awards, and we had our first annual Evolve Awards recently. You won in the music category. So share about the piece that you submitted and how that went, that process. What was your experience with that?
So I was in Nashville, and it was my first time ever. And I walked into Tin Roof, and somebody was like, "Hey, do you want to sing?" And I was like, "Yes." And so they let me sing, and I was with Brady, and he had his camera, and he shot it, and I never thought I would do anything with the video, so I decided to put it on YouTube. And then when the Evolve Awards came around, I was like, you know what? I'll just like submit it for fun. Like I honestly was floored when I won. I felt so embarrassed.
Oh, don't be. It's well deserving.
Thank you. But it was just exciting for, like, in that moment when that video was shot, I was just doing what I like to do and what I love to do. Mm-hmm. Never did I think I was going to win anything from it or gain anything from it.
Yeah.
And so when I had the opportunity to share it, I was like, yeah, why not? Like, just for fun. And that's what I love about you guys and Evolve and what they're doing, is it creates an atmosphere for people to share their work. And it's for anyone. Like, you don't have to be doing this for a long time or an incredible professional. Like, it's for a beginner all the way to an expert. And it's a great community where you can share this stuff. And not only are you going to get like praise and applause, but you're going to get feedback on how it's going to grow you, like we were talking about growth. And I think it's really important to have a community like that isn't always yesing you or patting you on the back. I think it's great to have people behind you that are going to check you and be like, no, you need to work on this, or no, this is what could have been better.
Helpful critique.
Yeah, like constructive criticism. Mm-hmm. And I think for you guys to join the Evolve community, it's going to impact you in a lot of ways. I wish I would have had a community like this around me when I was young and starting out, because it can be a really lonely road when you have tons of people saying in your ear that it's unrealistic. So
the doubters.
Yeah, it is. And you know, especially the adults, like, you need to go to school, you need to get a degree.
You need a college education, you need this degree. Yeah.
But you don't in this world anymore. I know tons of people with degrees and they don't have jobs. And so, I think that Evolve is an incredible organization, and what you guys do is really great. So I was honored to be a part of the first ceremony and to be a winner. That was really cool.
Well, we loved your work, and we just absolutely loved doing it. Obviously, first annual, so hoping to do it again next year and really, even take what we learned and do it to the next level. Yeah. So where can people find you? What's the best platform to reach you?
So I have Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Facebook is kind of a dying platform. I really have that for my mom and her friends. But if you want to reach out to me on Instagram or YouTube, share any of your work with me, I would love to give you constructive criticism, and I would love to just help you grow as an artist and a creator. My DMs are always open on Instagram, and I would just love to connect and support each other. It's Sara Ann Music. Sara without the H and without the E.
Nice.
Music, the way it's spelled. So you should be able to find me on there.
Sara, thank you so much for being here and having this conversation. I would love to just really dive in even more with you. So hoping that this is just the start of one of many great conversations.
That would be awesome.
So if you would like to check out more, get involved, visit evolve-network.com. Check us out on Facebook, on Instagram. We would love to connect with you and join this community and hear more from amazing people like Sara. We would love to have you.
Join. It just, I forget what I was gonna say. Dang it!
Okay, hello.
Bring it home. That was awesome.
Okay.